But I really went and found that there was not such a great problem from what the topic we has been introduced so far. That's why I thought ki I should take one or two more classes, and like when we will just enter into the loop system, this conditional statement and loop system, there are actually going to be a great problem for you to solve. That's why I thought ki just I can spend one or two more classes, and that those things will be actually a very good like if we're talking about a problem solving thing. So have you gone through the book that I recommended? I mean, so have you seen some problems there in the first chapter? Anyone? Hello? Hello, guys. uh, have you gone through the book or not? Means just let me know. I just asking. So like this is the book that I talked about, and in the first chapter, there's some very basic problem given. What kind of problems would focus on is the this type of thing. This particular type of thing, how you have to and do this means finding the error or the questions with some output type of thing. So these type of questions you have to practice majorly, and a lot of like different programs that are there. You can just there are a lot of MCQ based on the knowledge of particular C, but more or less the main important thing is the output thing, and um, some coding type of thing. If you want to learn coding, you can just practice how to turn these questions into code. And for that, I have suggested that you can use this particular C compiler online, and you can just write your code here and run and see whether it's working or not. So that's the main thing, and I hope everything is going so far good, right? Hello. Okay. So, means when we will complete two, three more classes, we will be actually solving the type of questions that has been actually asked to the CMI. That's why it's important कि अभी तो actually there are not lot of questions that can be framed out of these topics. Like they're just the basic things, basic variables, constant. But yes, just at least you know how to write a program. But like the chapter two, especially the control flow statement, and then the chapter 3, which I suppose is what, the loop system. Yeah. So these three things will make a great. These things come together to make great type, means great questions, some good thinking questions, and that's why I just want to do these things, and so that we can just focus on problem solving things. Okay. So. Main thing is that I will start with the conditional statement, and conditional statement I will start with today, and as slowly we will proceed, we will have other means we will also see some questions in this lecture also, and meanwhile as we try to proceed, we will also see some good questions that is related to output or other things. So okay, so let's start this thing, and I don't know why some people are not joining. So anyone just okay, so yeah, people are joining now. Okay, so the main thing is that in this lecture, I will not be taking the any problem solving class, because actually there are not a lot of problems to be solved right now. So we'll just start with the normal lecture, and meanwhile we'll just come to these questions as we proceed. Okay, so the first important thing in the that I talked earlier, that you have some statement inside the programming language, and so you have some statement, some line of a statement, and you want to execute this statement. So it may happens that you want to so let's this is second statement, you want to execute this second statement based on some condition. Like in our life we are also taking lot of decisions. So let's say you want to go to play, or you want to go to movie. So you decide ki, okay, if I find a 3 hours block of time, then I can go to the movie. This is not only that, if you talk about other things, so like passing an exam. So in any university college, you find that it 33 or whatever the marks college prefix, if anyone cross this particular marks, he will get pass, or if anyone score less than 33, he will get failed. So these type of decisions are always there in our life. And for computers to make this type of decisions, so there are some different like a statement there. And we'll actually be learning how to make decision using this type of using these if else and for this type of situations. So first of all, decision making is most important thing, because in the real life also we will be making a lot of decisions, and that's why it's more important key we should know how we are going to make decisions in computer. Okay, so the main thing is that uh, a decision control state instruction can be implemented in C using like that the three different ways. First is called if statement, then is if else statement, which is slightly an upgradation of this if statement, and then there are the conditional operators. So these three things will come a lot of time, and like in any programming language, whether you're learning Python or you're learning Java or some other languages, there are some common framework for any language. First you learn about basic syntax, like loop, constant variables. Then you learn about like conditional statement, and in conditional statement you actually learn about this if else and other thing also. And then you actually learn about some other thing like loop and function, array. So these type of things are there in any programming languages. That's why we just start focusing on these things, and see how actually we actually work with this type of statement. Okay, and this is where like slightly different things start with the C programming. So syntax we have already completed. Then we will complete the condition. Then we will complete the loop. Then slightly we will turn toward the function, because function is also there in the course. Apart from function, we will also see some application of array and some and then we will have some string operation. Okay, so how can we work with this string inside the C language? So these things we need to do step by step. So just let's start with the first thing, which is if statement. So like if statement is why it's important. Just let me get back to you. So like anything, any decision in your life, it depend upon questions if. Okay, so you tell yourself, if I get what you can say, if I get marks greater than 33, it means I am passed. Okay, you are passed. Okay, so these things are always there. To make any decisions, the most important thing is you are always asking the questions of if. What if means when this condition, when this particular code is going to be executed. So let's say the syntax means how you write actually an if statement inside the C language. So like the particular syntax is if, you have to use the keyword if is a keyword, and then inside a parenthesis you have to write some condition. So we will see what and condition is, how to write a condition inside the C statement. Okay, and then inside the curly braces, so this is a particular this curly braces, this is a block of if command. So if a particular if statement has some set of code, so these codes are actually written between a this curly braces. Okay, so most important thing, so let's say ki if you want to write okay, so marks, like this is a type of condition, marks greater than 33. So this is a condition. There are a lot of different ways to construct a condition, like less than symbol, there is a greater than symbol, and there are equal, double equal to, then there is not equal to. We'll see all these things, how to utilize these things to make a C statement. So the overall idea is to just inside the if this plain bracket, we write some condition, then inside the curly braces we write a multiple line of statement. Okay, so just don't worry about this curly braces. Okay, what the thing is that you can put it here, you can put it into the next line also. The main idea is to enclose every statement within these curly braces. So, what is some keywords to mean, some things to note about the conditional. The condition following the keyword if is always enclosed within a pair of parentheses. So this particular condition that we're talking about, it should be always in the this particular condition. It should be always in the bracket. Okay. So if you not write into the bracket, it will throw an error. Okay. And like if you have a family with some particular programming like Python, you know that in Python actually we don't write these things inside the bracket. We just write if, and then we write just the what your condition is. So that's not with the C programming. So you have to actually write the parentheses. Okay. So that's why this thing is important. And like in the pseudo code that you will see in the paper itself, you may find this thing condition inside the braces, you may not find the condition inside the braces. So you don't need to worry about that. Okay. So you will see some questions in the paper, like it may happen that there is no such condition enclosed within the bracket. But what I'm telling you that in the particular language C, these things are important. Okay. The second thing is that if the condition whatever it is true, then the statement is executed. If let's say this condition is true, so like you input and marks by the user, and user gave you the input of 65. So 65 is actually greater than 3, so this statement evaluates to true. It's a true statement. If it's a true statement, then the statement whatever written inside this if block will get executed. This code will run the inside whatever written in the inside of this curly braces. Okay. If this statement is false, like you told that key, okay, the marks is 25, so this condition evaluates to false. If it's false, then none of the statement inside this particular things will be get executed, and code will just get forwarded to the whatever the next set of codes there after the if statement. Okay. So this is the thing how if statement works. So we'll see some examples, don't worry about it. So first of all, just see the syntax there, and we'll also see some examples. If the condition is not true, then the statement not executed. Instead, the program is keep passed to it. This it means whatever the code written after this if statement, uh, it will get transferred there, and this thing will start running. Okay. So these things is there. So you may ask yourself ki how to write a conditional statement in C. Okay. So this thing is important because whatever condition you are trying to write, it should be important, because if it is true, then the program will run, the if block will run. If it's not true, then the code inside this particular thing will not run. So that's why these things are important. Okay. So we'll see everything step by step. We will also see an example of if a statement. So don't worry about it. So let me know if you have any questions regarding this thing, the if statement, if you are reading especially for the first time. Let me know if you understood it correctly, or should explain something. If it's okay, then let me know. I will go ahead. So guys, is it okay? Okay. Okay. Okay, fine. So like condition inside the C programming. Okay, so we'll just talk about it. So like we express a condition using the relational operator. So like we are talking about a lot of operators till now. So there are arithmetic operator that we do mathematics, and there are relational operator, and there are conditional operator. So we'll see what are conditional operator also. So these things are there always. Okay. So what are the relational operators? So relational operators allow us to compare two values, like this type of thing. Okay. So just let's see, like let's say in the real life you have two variables x and y. So you may want to see if x is greater than y, or maybe x less than y, or maybe you want to see if x is equal to y, or x less than equal to y. So let's see how this condition actually gets written in the C. So like this particular symbol that you are looking at, this is called a comparison operator. Okay. So this is called a comparison operator. So comparison operator means single equal to is called assignment operator, and double equal to is called comparison operator. So anywhere inside a programming language, if you want to compare if two variables are equal or not, so let's say x and y we are comparing, and we want to see if x is equal to y or not. So this, if you are thinking about the comparison thing, then this is called, you have to use two equal to. Okay. This two equal to sign is called comparison operator, because these things actually compare these two variables. But if you write x equal to y, the program will simply means that you want to assign whatever the value of y is to the x. So this is called assignment operator. Assignment means you want to assign some particular value. So whatever the y will be, it will be get assigned to x. That's why if in the inside the if condition, inside the if condition, if you are comparing two variables, then just write here means whatever x double equal to y. So these things is important, and we will see some examples related to how a single equal to and double equal to actually differentiate with each other. Okay. Next thing is the not equal to. So like a not equal to in the mathematics, we just cross this way. Okay, we write equal to and we cross this way. But inside the C programming language, not equal to means just exclamation and equal to. So this is called not equal to. So x not equal to y. So this is called x not equal to y. Okay. So what's the way? Just you write the single exclamation and equal to, and this is called x not equal to y. Okay. So these things I've already listed for you. Then x is less than y, x is greater than y. This is fairly simple. X is less than equal to y. So like we in mathematics we write this way: x less than equal to y. But in programming language we write this particular thing as x less than equal to y. So we just put equal to in front of this less than symbol. Okay. And for the greater than also we just write this way. So just see that key. This equal to sign is where it is, like in the less than or equal to, it just means it always remains there. Okay, just you need to change this particular thing for the equal to or not. So this is the way actually you write these things inside the C language. Okay. So like if you want to compare two values, and if you want to write the things, okay, so you can it will not happen that key. If you want to compare two value, then you can compare by single equal to. Single equal to, it's totally different thing, and double equal to is totally different thing, and you'll see with example. So like from now you can just construct some condition by yourself. If you want to construct if two variables are equal or not, you just write double equal to, or maybe you can do it by if x not equal to y. Okay, and we will see how these particular things become important when you try to write some program using if statement. Okay, if you understand if statement, then understanding if else statement is simply easy. That's why I'm putting more focus inside the on the if statement. Okay, so I've exclusively written that a single equality is used for assignment, which is called assignment operator, and double equality is used for comparison of two quantities. That's it's called comparison operator. Okay, so like these are the broad classes. Arithmetic operator, there are a lot of like plus, minus, division, multiplication, modulo. Relational operator means this type of operator are called relational operator. Okay, this type of operator. And then there are conditional operator. So there are a lot of conditional operator also that we will see in during this lecture. Okay, and like this equal to is also arithmetic operator, and these are all the part of arithmetic operator, and this double equal to is a part of relational operator. Okay, so these things are there, and just let's see these things with some examples. Okay. So these things, whatever condition you are constructing, just you can use these what you can say relation operator to make some condition, and that you can use to run the condition. Okay. Okay, so now it's time to look at some basic examples, and then we'll move toward the better example. Okay, so here the code is simply just enter your marks. Okay, line by line code. Let me run for you. So enter your marks, and then we have defined integer marks as an integer, and then we will take an output for the marks. Okay, so let's say the user output. So it's like it's a class test of 30 marks, and we are trying to like appreciate a student. Okay, so let's say we just any student who got greater than 25 marks, we are just categorizing those student as outstanding student, just for the sake of this question. So like whenever user enter a marks, and let's say user enter marks as 26. So what the program will do? Program will come to this block if statement, and it will make this conditional. Okay, it will run this condition. So the condition is marks greater than 25. Actually 26 is greater than 25 because the mark value of marks is 26. Okay, so this is actually a true statement. This is a true statement. So the code inside this particular thing will run, and you will get an output of congrats, you deserve an award. You will get this output. Okay, and after running this particular code, what will happen? It will just get passed to the whatever the statement is after the if block. So after the block, it will actually come to this particular code. It will run this code, and you will get two output. So first output is congrats wala output, and the second output is program ends here. So this is how a see if statement works inside the C programming language. So let's say if a user has put here 20 marks, means marks value of marks is 20, then it will compare this make this conditional operator. This will just make this of a statement comparison, and it found that 20 greater than 25 is actually false. So this is a false statement. So whenever the statement is false, the code inside this particular if block will not run. Whatever the line. So here is a single line of code. You can also write multiple line of code inside the if statement. It will not run. Any of the code will not run, and program will get executed, means get transferred to the next set of lines after the if statement. So this is the if block. It is being separated by this curly braces, and you will just only get the simple output. Program ends here. So this is how actually a program works inside a C language for the if statement. Okay, guys, is there any problem with this particular thing, or you have understood it clearly? Yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. 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 We have. Yeah. Yeah. I told you just we are focusing more on the if statement. Then we will just study what is the what is if and else, because like if someone understand the comparison all those things, it's actually easy to like write a else statement. We'll just see shortly. Just don't worry about it. Yeah. Yeah. Definitely. Definitely. We'll see a lot of things. Other things. Okay, guys. Okay, guys. Any other questions? Okay, so like it's a fairly simple thing that just we are looking towards. Like the same thing. Like there is a one rule that let me tell you. So the rule is, if there you have only single line of code. So if you have only single line of code, you can skip the curly braces. Okay, so what this thing means? So like we can see that after the if statement there is actually a single line of code. Okay, so you can also write the same thing as the this way, this particular way. You can know that I have not included curly braces here. I have not included. Why? Because inside the C programming language, it's by default understood that if you are writing if statement, then a single line of code, sorry, for the single line of code, you don't need to write parentheses. If you write, it's okay. If you don't write, it's also okay. But if you write two line of code, and if you're not putting the parentheses, then it means that only the first line of code will be understood inside the if statement. Okay, so now you can see here that I have not written curly braces here, but the both program will give the same output. Okay, let's say I also write another statement here. Okay, another statement. So it means that this particular statement, this first statement, is only inside the if block. Okay, and if you want to write the second statement also, you need to include the curly braces. So it means if you're writing only one statement inside the if block, you can skip the curly braces. But if you want to write multiple statement after the if, means inside the if block, you have to write parentheses. Okay, so this means like here the writing curly braces and here not writing curly braces actually means the same thing. Okay, so this thing is there, and like when you are trying to find output of some program, you will actually see this type of difference. So just don't forget that whatever written here, just the single line of code will run inside this particular if block. Okay, and whatever written after the statement, and if you are not including any parentheses here, it will not be run. It will not be understood inside the if statement. So this thing is important, and especially if you are trying to find some output of the program. That's why these things are important. Okay, so I hope this thing is also clear with you all. Okay, so okay, so now like condition is the only for our only focus, our focus of interest, and after that like we can just write a multiple C program and do all those things. But it's really important to understand these conditions, like what a true condition means, what a false condition means, and what are some other condition that actually means true or actually means false. Okay, just let's see this program. Okay, so just let's focus on this first block of if statement. Okay, so I only told you if you're writing a single line of code after the if, it will be automatically understood that it's a part of the if block. So you don't need to write here the curly braces. It's automatically understood. Okay, so the here the only thing written is if, and inside the parentheses I have not written any condition. You can see that I've just written one. Okay, so the particular thing is that whatever condition is inside the if this if conditional if condition, actually let's see how it works. So no, like if you have written 2 less than 3, it's a condition, okay, and it means it will evaluate this particular thing. So 2 less than 3 means it's actually a true thing, okay. And inside the if statement, it will assume true as 1 and it assumes false as 0. It's like if you have just read anything about like discrete maths or some binary thing, like we actually like in probability also we just represent head by 1, tail by 0, or in the real life scenario also we represent some good thing by 1 and some bad thing by 0, or vice versa, okay. So this means whatever this statement is, it gets run, and the C program will get if 1 if it's a true statement, or it will get if 0 if it's a wrong statement, okay. So these things are important. So if you write 1, it's equivalent that it's a true thing, okay. Whatever the condition inside was, it's a true thing, okay. That's why if you write this particular thing, it will get run, and you will see that you will see that this particular statement is uh, this particular statement is run, okay. So this is important, okay. The next thing is let's just now focus on this particular zero value, okay. This particular zero value, you will see that I told you ki this zero means a negative, like what I can say, a wrong thing, okay. So this particular code of statement will not be run, because if 0, the C will just assume that, oh, it's a wrong statement, okay. Because I told you, if inside the parenthesis, if inside the parenthesis, if there is any number, whether it's a positive number, not only 1 plus 1 or 2 or maybe 65 or maybe 1000, or any negative number also, okay, any negative number also, or any means any conditional statement that actually evaluates to true, then the particular statement will run, okay. So like in this case, this will also run. It's a negative statement, but this will also run inside this particular thing. 3 plus 2 into 8 modulo 7. So what it will do, it will just evaluate this particular thing, so this will evaluate this particular thing. And like after the particular thing that we have run, the condition sorry the arithmetic hierarchy, we know that it just this will evaluate to 3 plus 8 16 divided by modulo 7, and this evaluates to 3 plus 2 okay. So and then it will evaluates to 5, okay. So this particular thing means so this like this modulo operator actually gives you the remainder. So when you will divide 16 by 7, you will get a remainder, okay. So this particular thing will give you the 5, okay. So that's why this particular uh, thing is true. This is a true statement because it's a positive number, okay. So this way you have to like run this particular code, okay. So you have to understood this thing. So in a lot of times, whenever you will given a output of program, it will not be given exactly a conditional statement. It may happen that there's some written numbers or maybe something like 0 or 1. So you have to understood those particular thing, how those things actually works, okay. And it's not always about the conditional, okay. I think someone mic is on. If you want to speak, please let me know. Okay, guys. So this thing, if minus one, this I am leaving you up to you. So like you go to this particular C compiler that sorry, that I shown you here, and after the class, and just run this particular code and see what is the like output of this particular thing. So I'm just leaving it to you to explore this particular thing. And the thing is that if you have to just write the same code, the same particular small line of code, and just see what is the output of this particular code, and just let me know in the next class. Okay. So the main thing is that overall, whatever the particular thing is here, if the condition is true, the particular block of code of the if statement will run. If it's false, it will not run. And the main important thing is that to be true means any positive number, like, and any negative number also. So you can say that overall any number, and 0 actually leads to false. And if any like arithmetic operation is given, it will also work, because arithmetic operations will eventually output to like some number. So if it's a obviously if it's a also 0, it will not work, and if it's some other number than 0, it will always work, okay. So it means it will a positive statement. So this is also a common task. So just go to the go to the, what you can say, C compiler after the class, and just try to run this whole code and see for which statement the you are getting an output. So like I've explicitly stated first true statement, second, third, fourth, fifth. So you can just get that key for which the output is coming and for which the output is not coming. So you can just see that particular thing. Okay. Any problem with this thing? Yeah, yeah. Hmm. Hmm. Okay, so this thing will be actually an integer thing. So means you are talking about whether this particular thing will be a float operator or integer operator, right? Okay, so I think float, it should be integer operator, and like float operator, I think it will give out an error because the condition should be only integer statement. But like I will definitely go and check because this thing means I don't remember. But once I recall that key, I was experimenting with a program and actually I gave some float value, so it threw out an error. That's why I concluded it should be an integer. Means whatever this particular thing is inside this particular parenthesis. Mm-hmm. Yeah, 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 I told you the same thing. Yeah. And like this is there, but like if you just want to evaluate with for some condition, you can also do that. Like I told you, if you just want to compare marks, so you have to write conditional statement there. You just can't write any positive or negative number. But eventually what is happening, it will compare the thing. And if it's a true thing, the I told you, if it's a true thing, the C programming output one as a true. Whenever the statement is true, you can assume that there is a one, and whenever the statement, when this condition is false, you can assume that there is zero. Okay, so this is the overall idea. But apart from these two numbers, any positive numbers, or sorry, any numbers will work for it. Okay, so like now that is the time to introduce the if else, because you just know what the if is, and you actually know a lot of things about the conditional thing. Okay, how to write a condition. So like the question is now, if some condition of if statement is not true, then what? So like someone actually pointed out, if what if the marks of particular student is not not greater than 5, so 25. So let's say this particular condition, for this particular condition, someone out give the marks of 20. So what happens in that case? So like this is a two-way scenario. Two-way scenario means if something happens, then just take this step. If something does not happen, then just take the second step. Like it's in real life. So if you just point out, it just if uh, if I will have 2 or 3 hours free time, I will go to the movie. So that's the plan A. And if I don't have 2 hours, then I will go to maybe have dinner with the friends. So that's the plan B. So we always have this particular thing, and we always ask to give ourselves some option. If particular things happen, then do this. If particular thing don't happen, then do this, do that particular thing. And like there are some multiple thing that you can use to construct multiple comparison thing. Like some complex decision making process. So like is this particular thing, if there's a 3 hour or three hours time, you may just construct another if and else statement inside this particular thing. So these are called nested if else statement. We also see this what means nested if else statement. Okay, so we also see this nested particular thing. So the overall idea of else statement is, like we write the same way. There is nothing different. So just we write the if block, and then this particular thing is not written, not correct, we write an else statement. Okay, and then we write whatever the else statement you want to print, or whatever the instructions you want to run. Okay, by default I told you, you don't need to put curly braces if you're writing just a single line of code. So from now on we will just assume that if it's a single line of code written, we may or may not put the curly braces. I already told you that. And same is true for the if else also. So like in the else part we don't put any condition, and that's true because else part will only run when this particular condition is not true. So it's pre-assumed that what when this condition is not true, that's why else statement is there. So like else statement don't have a independent existence. So it's not like you can write only else statement, else and some statement, so these things is not valid. Okay, else statement has only existence because of the if statement. So if else always go together, if can go alone, but else statement cannot go alone. Okay, so the purpose of else statement is only defined with the if statement. So the main thing is that whatever the this particular if statement is, whatever the condition is, if condition is not true, so like in that case, let's say if someone put the marks of 19, so 19 marks is actually not greater than 25. So this code will not run obviously because this condition is not true, and the control of the statement actually go to the next statement, which is else statement. Okay, and in whatever the statement you have written, whatever the set of instruction you have written inside the else block means whatever the code is there in the else statement. Okay, so here also curly braces is presumed, and because there is only a single line of code, so this thing will run and you will get an output of you need to work hard. Okay, so this is how a if and else statement works. If can go alone, if you can write a multiple if statement if you want, but you cannot write an independent else statement. So else statement has only existence with the if statement. Okay, so this particular code you also can go and run and let's see what happens, and you can also like formulate some of your problem that you want to think. Okay, I want to do this, I want to do that, and in the book also you could particularly find some important question. So let me know if you have any questions regarding understanding the if else part, or if it's clear I will move ahead and just introduce something else. Okay, so if it's clear then just move ahead and like let's see some complex example. Some it's a example of the book, let us see. So like I try to include because there are some various complexity involved. So now for now just let's focus on the problem, because if you understand the problem you can actually code that problem. So the problem is like if a company, in a company, an employee is paid under, so like in a whenever you get a salary inside the company, there are various part of the salary, like HRA is there, and there is a DA, which is domestic allowance, and this is house rent allowance. There are different particular thing. So if the basic salary is less than 1500, then HRA is calculated as 10% of the basic salary, and DA is calculated 90% of the basic salary. Okay, and if the salary of the employee is greater than above than 1500, then the HRA is calculated as 5000, I mean sorry 500 fixed, and DA is 98% of the basic salary. So the question is, if the employee's salary is input, so like the user will give his salary as input, maybe 1500 or maybe 1600 or something else, input through the keyboard, write a program to find his gross salary. Okay, so like whenever the employee give his salary, you need to find his gross salary, and the way you calculate a gross salary is the rule is given here. Okay, so rule is not you have to construct by yourself. So the thing is that you have to really compare the salary. So like whenever he will give the salary, he will compare the salary. If salary is like greater than sorry less than 1500, salary is less than 1500. 1 minute. So if salary is less than 1500, okay, so you have to run this set of code. Okay, so we'll call it A and we'll call it a B. So we'll run A set of code, and if it's a greater than 500, you have to run a B set of code. Okay, so to understand any problem into if else statement, this is how we actually understood whether we have to apply if else or not. There is some decision making involved. Decision making means something is less than some value and something is greater than some value. If something is less than some value, you have to run some different set of code, different set of instruction, and if something is greater than some value, you have to run a different set of instruction. That's why I have exclusively written here that key, this is how we actually think how we have to apply this particular what you can say, this particular thing or not, this particular if else or not. So like in real life scenario, if you are given any problem, so it will not written there, you just write if else statement or write for loop or write something else. You have to just judge it by yourself, and as the complexity of the programming goes on, you have to be quick to think how where when to apply this particular type of thing. Okay, so it's clear that we are going to do it by if else statement because there is some decision making process involved here. Okay, so like we just basic salary, we will take the basic salary as the input. So we are taking everything as a float, because 10% of something can be float, his salary can be in the float thing. So just we are taking everything as a float number. Okay, so we just put the message into basic salary, and we take BS, which is short form of basic salary, and we take this particular thing as a input. Okay, so there are two conditions involved. If salary is less than 1500, so first condition is if salary is less than 1500, then how you have to calculate the HRA is a 10% of basic salary. So this is particularly calculating the 10% of basic salary. And if DA is a 90% of basic salary, so it is calculating DA as a 90% of basic salary. And obviously, if salary is not less than 1500, then it by obvious means, it means that it is greater than 1500. So there is a else statement there. And for the else part, we know that HRA is a 500 and DA is a 98%. So this particular thing is run here. Okay, and at the end, whether whatever the salary may be, if this was someone a salary of 1000, then we know that in the HRA variable we have already stored the 10% of this particular thing, and in the DA variable we have already stored 90% of particular thing. And at the end, what you have to do, you have to calculate the gross salary. Gross salary is calculated at whatever your basic salary is plus your HRA and plus your DA. Okay, so you have to just add everything at the end, and you have to print that particular thing as the output. Okay, when its salary is 2000, it's happened the same thing. You have just calculated in the HRA, you have stored 500, and the DA you have stored this particular thing. And at the end, what you have to do, you just add everything and just return the variable. Okay, so this is how like a complex decision making works inside the C programming. So if you find anything, any questions there, just let me know. Uh-huh. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's in yeah, yeah, definitely, definitely. So like I told you in the last class, key, let's say if defining some variable as integer, and let's say a is an integer. So let's say GS here, sorry, this HRA is the integer. Okay, HRA is the integer. Okay, and what happens? You are calculating 10% of the HRA, and let's say it comes to a value of 79.8. It's a value. So if you have defined HRA as an integer, even it's trying to store some float value, I told it will just store the integer part, and it will ignore the float part. So that's why like you will be actually losing some information. That's why we are trying to store it in the float variable, right? Hello. Okay. So it's actually advised to just if you're just trying not familiar with the C programming, you can just go and try to run the whole code, and think about some of the these type of questions from your own also. So do you want anyone want to ask some other question? Okay, if you don't have any questions, then just we'll move to the next part. Okay, I think someone mic is on. If you want to ask some questions, then just let me know. Okay, 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 no problem. Yeah, I mean, so not later means in this particular flow I will show. So if it's not today, if it's a lecture, then we'll just definitely talk about this tomorrow. So like in if else actually start with the way we make the decision is actually like something called flowchart we have to understand. So like the flowchart is something like how to you construct a problem. So I told that ki, you were talking about the salary thing. Okay, so like this is a simple this the way they were looking at the this is actually a thing that we construct a flow chart. Like you can see that there's somewhere circle is there, somewhere the rectangle bracket is there, somewhere you can find this particular rhombus thing, and then you will just find some particular arrows going out and going something to the other block. So like these circles, these particular things have actually some meanings. Okay, so in the detail flowchart is like something that we can discuss some other day, because it takes some time to understand what this circle means, how what this thing means. So like the overall thing is that whenever you are given a problem of if statement or any programming problem. Like in the for loop also we can just use this idea of flowchart. So what we usually do, like we just see how we make decision step by step. So like we are given two numbers a and b, and we want to find which number is greater, whether a is greater than b or whether the b is greater than a. Okay, so what the procedure, how we do these things step by step? What we do, we just start a program. We take two integer input from the users. Okay, so this is the first step. And then at the next step, what you do, you make a decision. You make a what you can say, we just compare these two variable, whether a is greater than b or whether b is greater than a. So if a is greater than b, it means a is if yes, obviously a is print a is greater than b. And if b is greater than a, then this condition evaluates to false, and then in that case you have to print b is greater than a, and then you need to stop whatever when you print the output. So like any decision making process can be visualized, or you can say that the overall idea is to any programming problem can be like constructed this way of flowing flow chart, or like you can say that the flowing of steps, like how the things go step by step. So these things actually help you in the beginning to visualize your problem, like how you can construct your problem. Okay, so these thing I wanted to introduce because these things will not be there in the you can cook in the questions, but it actually help in the real world to visualize the problem. Okay, that's why this thing I wanted to introduce. So this is a fairly simple thing. You can just construct this thing. Like this circle has meaning something. Why we are using circle? Why not using the square bracket? So there are rule key. You have to start with something start or something end is represented by a sorry ellipse type of thing, and some decision making is always introduced as a rhombus type of thing. So these things are there. These are the rules that has been made for the flowchart. Okay. Okay, so this is the fairly simple thing that I wanted to introduce just for the sake of understanding. And just let me introduce you the concept of nested if else, and then we can just close the class. Okay, so the thing is that we can write if statement inside any if statement. So I told you if there is if statement, we're writing some condition, then there is some else statement. You may write additional if statement inside any if, or you may write additional if else statement inside any else statement. Okay, so just let's see what's the how we can just do that. Okay, so same thing. Okay, so enter your marks, a student is entering their marks, and just we try to introduce the complexity of the same program. So simple thing, if the marks is greater than 25, okay, so let's say we want to write an if else condition inside an else condition. Okay, so what is the thing is, we write marks greater than 25. If the output is like 26 or 29, we'll actually get you are a good student, and the rest block of code will not run because this will not go to the else part. Okay, so whenever if part is true, it will not go to the else part. It's a fairly simple thing. It's understandable. Okay, it's assume that give whatever the value is, first if part is run. If it's true, if it's the condition is true, whatever the statement will be run, and if it false, it will not, the else part will get into the execution. Okay, so what happens when an user give an output of 10? Okay, so obviously this particular condition is false, so it will go to the else part. This statement will not be printed, and if it, then it again makes a comparison. Okay, inside the else statement, we can see that we have introduced a bunch of code, and these codes has been actually put in the curly braces. You can see that overall whatever the code is in the else part, we have put it in the curly braces. Okay, so the question is, if the marks is greater than 25 is false, and it comes to the else part, and then it again make a comparison. So you can see that inside the else statement, it's again make a comparison. So marks greater than 15. So whatever the marks is, which is 10, it again make a comparison. So let's say 10 greater than 15, which is a false statement. So this particular line of code will also not run, and then it will go to the else part, and you will get an output of you need to study the most. Okay, so that's how a nested if else thing work. You can also introduce similar if else statement in the if part also. So there are a lot of different codes that you need to work on, and like these are some examples that I'm giving out to you. But when you will just start solving the complex problem, you will see that key means you'll just start applying your mind ki how we have to introduce the if else statement inside other if else statement, and that's the nested part. So nested means you are trying to write if else statement, like uh, then inside the if else statement you're writing another if else statement, and you can go towards like any number of times. It's not like you cannot write if statement inside this thing. So inside this particular if statement, you can also write some other if statement. Okay, so this thing means if you just conclude everything, this thing means you just nest everything in the if else part. The main thing is that you have to really worry about the complexity, because whenever you just write a lot of nested if else, the program becomes too complex. Like whenever you come to the program after 2 months, 3 months, you will see that, oh, I have written that particular code, because those things will not make sense to you also. Because sometimes, like whenever you're writing a program, you are in a hurry, or maybe you are not particularly focusing on the complexity, we just want to solve the problem. But let's say you come back to the program after, like anywhere, anyone who is software developer, engineer, or maybe data scientist and other things, so we write some code to, like some run some particular algorithm on data set. And let's say we are going to revise the same code for some development purpose after 3 months, or maybe after 1 year. There are a lot of things there, so you just can't figure out whether the particular code is written, what's that actually means. That's why there's a concept of documentation. Like whenever you will join a company, there's a concept of documentation, means whatever the code you are writing, you actually document that particular thing in a what you can say, document file. Okay. And in the document file, you will actually write what is the particularly function of that particular code. Okay. So that's the documentation part. And also, like while writing any program, people actually do a lot of comments also. So in the comments, they write why this particular code is there, why this particular code is there. So these things are the, like standard practices when you are doing some development kind of work and you are doing some job. But for learning purpose, this is the way you actually this is what you do with the nested if statement. Is it clear for you? Means these things make sense. I will just see in the questions, means I will just go through the questions, and if it's there, then I will cover that portion also. But means so I've not seen like complexity and time and aspects complexity type of questions are not there. But if you find some questions in the CMI paper also, you also just let me know, because I will just cover that portion also. So that thing will not take more than half an hour to cover the time capacity and those things. But yes, for now we have to not worry about that particular thing. Just thing is that they will overall they will give some code, and maybe that code is related to some basic this arithmetic operation, relational operation, or maybe some array or some other thing, and you have to print the output of that particular code. So that thing is actually done when you know the basic of all those things. Okay, so let me end this class with this particular example. So, like we have been given three numbers, A, B, and C. And what you need to do, you need to find the greatest of these three numbers, greatest of A, B, and C. Okay. So, the particular thing is that the thing is fairly simple. Like we compare A and B. So, if let's say A is greater than B and A is greater than C, then what's happened? Actually, A is the greatest. If B is greater than A and B is greater than C, then what happens? B is the greatest. And if C is greater than A and C is greater than B, then the C is the greatest. This is a fairly simple thing that we need to print out. So let's see how we can execute the same thing with the code. Okay. So obviously we'll just take input of three integers from the users, and these are just put an integer type, because we can do that with float also. So we are doing the same thing. If A is greater than B, okay. If A is greater than B, then we compare for the A greater than C. So in the next part we compare if A greater than C. Okay. So if this both statements are true, then we here print that A is the greatest. Okay. A is the greatest. Okay. But let's say this else statement. If let's say C is greater than A. Okay. If A is greater than C is not true, obviously then C is the greater than A, and we can know that we also already know that A is greater than B. So we know here that C is the greatest element. That's why we print C is the greatest. So you can see that the same kind of code has been executed here. So this is also a nested if else statement. Here, if block is running their code, here is the curly braces. Inside the if statement, we again like I particularly put here curly braces for the single line of code. So that's fairly simple. I told you maybe you can use curly braces for a single line of code. You can skip it also. So here I have used it. So we compare A and B, then A with the C, and then print A is the greatest. And if else statement is true, means this particular if is false, then we go to the else part when the C is the greatest. Okay. And if let's say A is not greater than B, so this particular statement is false. Then what happens? So if A is not greater than B, this is false. Then it will come to this else part. So this will come to the else part. Okay. And else part, it eventually means that if A is not greater than B, then B is greater than A. Okay. If B is greater than A, then what need to compare? Compare only B with the C. So if B is greater than C, then the B is the greatest. And if B is not greater than C, obviously C is greater than B. And eventually it's written that B is greater than A. So it means C is the greatest. So you can see that this is the program that we come up with. Okay. So if it sounds complex, you can just try to write the program of greatest element among three ABC within your own terms, within your own understanding, and then just try to compare the things. Or if you get an error, just you can see how the things are. Okay. So, do you have any problem understanding this particular concept? Okay. So, if you don't have, yeah, do you have any question? Okay. So, guys, that's for today now, and like we'll be actually seeing a lot of other thing also. So, in the other chapter, we'll see a lot of other things. Like logical operators and how to actually reduce the complexity of programming using logical operators, and then we'll understand the logical operator in detail, and we'll do some output problem type of questions, and then we'll also see some more questions about the output problem, and then we'll move to the conditional operator. So conditional operator is not a different thing; it's just a simple thing. And after the conditional operator, we'll just move to the loops of the program. Okay, so conditional operator after we'll move to the loop, and meanwhile I will just put some questions before you every time we discuss some concept. Okay, and definitely we will discuss some other questions some other time also. So that's not a problem. Hope this